Hi, this is Dave Bazar, and I'm here with Mike Fenn.
Hey, Dave.
And it's time for your monthly position report breakdown.
So we just had our 9th position report of the season, April. Another stellar performance, up 37%, almost 38%.
And I don't think stellar is a big enough word, man. Some sort of out of this world.
True.
I guess that's stellar.
But I guess you're kind of getting used to this type of performance now because you've really had a few months this year, almost 4 months this year, we've had 30+% increase.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost kind of a normal thing, or you kind of feel like, well, if we only put up 20% increase, we're not doing something's wrong. So it's kind of a nice new normal, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So yeah, rocking along. I think everybody kind of expected maybe 230 million pounds to be shipped. The industry basically shipped 250 million pounds. So, you know, better than expectations. I think that's always a good thing for us. You know, and we could dive in, I guess, a little bit deeper into those shipments if you wanted to. So the domestic market for the second time back to back this year was down. You know, we have a little chart here. We may put it up on the deal, but you know, it just kind of shows the erraticness of what the domestic market's been doing.
Run through that chart real quick. So you've got 3 years of data there. Right?
So the gray line is going to be your 2020 crop. The orange line is going to be your 2019, and the blue line is going to be your 2018 crop shipments for the U.S. domestic market. You know, you'll see that gray line. It's been weaving kind of, you know, up and down between what we shipped last year and even 2018 in some of those months, right? Especially that January period, which is kind of an outlier, you know. And when we move to the next slide, you'll see more of a consistent story on shipments in the export market. So,
okay, why don't we move straight to that? So this is the domestic.
Right.
This is the one that year to date is up only 2%.
Right.
If you totaled all these.
Yeah.
And it's been disappointing for the last couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, one that we keep scratching our head, you know, what does it all mean? I do think, you know, just wrapping that one up, I do think though that you will see a heavier pool from the domestic market, more maybe heavier shipments, I should say, that June, July, maybe even that August and September period. I mean, they have 17% more commitments on the book than they did this time last year.
The domestic does.
The domestic market.
And again, to repeat what I think we've mentioned for a few months, it's a super important market. It ranges from 25 to 30% of the total ends up going domestically. To me, it's always we're a rich land, so we can afford to pay more for almonds. We love almonds. You're expecting to come back. All this growth up to now has been in the export markets that are very price sensitive. So, yeah, that's cool. They're consuming more, but they're consuming more at very cheap levels. We're expecting these prices to start to move up. The domestic market should be able to handle that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So the slide that I've now put up is going to be our export market, and they've really been the one of the best performers, obviously, the whole season. They were up almost 74% for the month, so they just rocking right along.
These are amazing numbers.
Right. I mean, I don't think you've probably ever seen increases like this before. So, you know, the chart will just show you more of a consistent growth over the last couple of years. You know, again, you have that kind of issue in January that we saw, more logistical, I would have to think, but it's just a consistent rate of growth.
Otherwise, you're seeing that gray line stay consistently above it.
Right.
So then now you switch, and I guess we should talk about this export deal.
Yep.
You've been hammering away. A big portion of it is China and India.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
They're the lead on this thing.
Right. You know, the European market has done very well this year, taking Eastern, Central, and Western Europe, they're up 16%. Mm-hmm. You know, if you dive into Western Europe, they're up 14%. So for a pretty mature market, I think it's pretty unheard of, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, again, I was on the phone with somebody earlier, and they were just telling me, this is the story of undervalued almonds. You know, everybody's just going crazy for it. So, so then we have our last slide here, you know, the current export and domestic shipments, and you know, you see the line that stops in April. Now the question is, okay, you know, where are we headed? What's going to happen next? And May, June, and July last year, we're pretty low hanging fruit. Last year we set a record in July at 180 million pounds, but that's really the only record that you have out ahead of you.
And you just finished shipping 250.
250 million.
Yeah.
Yes. So and May, what we're shipping now, we shipped last year 154 million pounds. We are experiencing some logistical issues still, worse than it was in April. April was full out. You had you could ship all day long, not a problem, at least for us. And so we're starting to see that a little bit again, right? The pinch, but I still think you should be able to ship 200 million. So basically, we keep going back and forth of what's that carryover going to be, and if we ship between May, June, and July 20% more than we did during the same period last year, we should have a carry-in of around 650 million pounds after loss and exempt.
So, in context, you're basically 20% year to date up.
Right.
You just finished shipping 37% up.
Right.
The month before was something over 20 for sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It was
the number.
28.
So now you're saying if I can just continue what this year to date is, my carry-in is 650.
Right. And if you go back and listen to what we were saying 3 months ago, we were still talking 750 to 800 million pounds. So I think psychologically it's, you're starting to feel more comfortable with your position. And, then you start throwing all these estimates into the mix, and at least you have a little bit more of a confidence and, a little bit more of a backbone now, thinking, okay, it's a little bit more manageable.
And I should try to emphasize that when people ask why are the prices so low, basically we usually revert back to, because we've got so much, and that means a bunch we're carrying over, right? And now we're getting more and more comfortable with a smaller number than we've talked about. Right. And you just used 20%. It's quite possible that's going to be a bigger number.
Right.
You're real confident on May, right?
Yes.
Even though you're saying I've got a little logistics problem. Mm-hmm. So you're almost ready to guarantee I'm going to do better than 20% in May. I don't know. I
think it's very likely. I think it's very likely.
So to me, all of a sudden, this excuse of I've got too much carry-in is not. And like you said, you're getting more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And now on to the next deal, right? I guess.
Right.
What's your new crop going to be?
Right.
Yeah.
So you've seen your second estimate now. So you had an estimate at 2.8. You had an estimate released yesterday at 2.95.
Yeah, and to me, that estimate is not one that's widely viewed as, this is a super consistent one. I think Terra Nova has always been a real bell ringer as far as we pay attention to that. Subjective, objective. I guess more is good, I guess. Everybody can have an opinion. But to me, the one we're going to get tomorrow, the subjective estimate is going to be much more important on what we see there.
Right.
And again, to try to give you a little bit of a feel for it, if we do the 650, and if you produce, say, Terra Nova's crop of 2.8, which is what they predicted, there's 3,450,000,000, less than we had last year.
Right.
Now you start playing with the numbers. What is the next estimate? Is it 2.9 plus 650? Now you've got the same size crop. Right.
And I feel confident that we'll be able to market the same amount of almonds, overall supplies, at a higher price than we did this year. No doubt.
For sure.
No doubt.
Is there any other numbers? We're no longer talking about how big the crop was, right? That we just produced. That basically is in the book at depending on which one. 3.1 was your crop. That's past us in the way. Your commitment numbers, you said, looks good.
Yep, they look good, but I think the debate's going to be how much of that is going to ship May, June, and July, and how much is going to ship August through that October period. And I think that's the factoring people are going to be wanting to do. I think another piece that we didn't talk about was the new sales that were made in April. It's about 162 million pounds, almost 30% higher than what the amount of almonds that were sold last year in April.
And good sales usually mean good shipments.
So just solidifying the fact that we're whittling this carryout down, that we're seeing happen, and you need those sales to perform, and so far they have.
Okay. Well, I know we're running fairly long, so we could wrap it up with the idea that pricing still remains stable to low. I think we've been having a hard time to move it up, but if we get some luck on our estimate tomorrow, then I think all the tools are there, right, to start to really push this thing up.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, that's been Dave.
Thank you very much. This is Mike.